Episode number 253 with the lovable, wonderful, incredible Cosmo Wilson. I know you hear me say this a lot, but really one of my favorite humans. This guy's just such a great guy. Anybody who knows him, you know what I'm talking about. He's got thousands of friends for a reason. Just a wonderful person, great human. What more can I say? So we had a great talk. We talked about AC/DC. We talked about Aerosmith stopping, retiring. We talked about what that might look like. We talked about Judas Priest. We talked about all kinds of things. And so I hope you enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. It was great to see him again. And enjoy. Hello, and thanks for joining me today on Geezers of Gear, episode number 273. This episode is brought to you by Mainlight, a national dry hire rental provider specializing in supplying the latest lighting and stage equipment technology. Their extensive rental inventory includes moving lights, truss solutions, control consoles, LEDs, and an array of weather-resistant IP65 rated fixtures. Perfect for outdoor venues. Whether for theater productions, outdoor stadium events, or TV film broadcasts, Mainlight is the partner you trust with the gear you want. Committed to quality and reliability, Mainlight also provides a robust selection of used sales options that come with 60-day warranty, providing you with confidence in your purchase. Strategically located across the U.S., their 4 locations include Teterboro, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, Nashville, Tennessee, and Las Vegas, Nevada. They combine the vast resources of a national company with the attentive, personalized service of a local provider. Discover how Mainlight can equip your next event by visiting mainlight.com today. Today's podcast is also brought to you by Elation Professional.
Inspire your audience's imagination with Elation's Pulse Strobe Series. Designed to bolster creativity and deliver breathtaking kinetic intensity, the Pulse Series empowers designers to create dynamic lighting experiences that captivate any audience. The Pulse Series synthesizes mesmerizing lighting experiences with power and precision, allowing designers to create rhythmic, heart-pounding lighting effects with effortless control. Elation's Pulse Series.
Hello, how are you? Man, I've been really slipping up on the AI stuff. I've just been so friggin' busy using AI in my own business that I keep but just not taking the time to look up really great stuff related to AI. And there's so much going on. It's moving so fast. To be perfectly honest, I've always said AI is not coming for your job, folks, but I'm actually starting to change my opinion on that and not for, I'm not being a doomsday, the sky is falling person, but, Elon just showed these robots that are very cool, and they've got the hand movements and stuff down really good now so that they can do, pretty intricate tasks. And they're also only like 20 grand. And so, the idea is basically you can sit on your ass on your couch watching Netflix or doing whatever it is you do while AI does all of the mundane or stuff you don't really want to be doing, housekeeping or whatever it is. AI and robots can do that stuff. So you can basically program these robots to do whatever you want, including run front of house sound, including run monitors, including, programming a lighting console. And so I do believe that I used to always say plumbers and electricians are all safe, but I don't know that that's going to be the case in the future. Like, I think basically what AI is going to push us to do is all of us have to upskill. And I, for one, have been excited about it. I've really been embracing this technology. And I know a lot of people who don't. I know a lot of people who just want to basically ignore it and shoo it away and make it go. It ain't going anywhere. Like, there's companies investing literally trillions of dollars at this point into AI technology. And there's some of the hottest stocks. There's some of the hottest VC investments. That tells you what the future is right there. So, yeah. You know, if anyone ever wants to have a conversation about it, reach out to me. You know, I tend to know a little bit about it, and also just have some real views as far as AI and robotics and all of it is concerned. So what else did I want to talk about today? I think probably by the time you hear this, everyone has heard about this deal where Acuity bought QSC. So first of all, who is Acuity? Acuity is a conglomerate of primarily commercial lighting brands. They are in the space where they sell to companies like Granger and you know, they sell to electricians. They sell lighting and electrical products for buildings, for you know, whatever it is, new construction primarily. But they own a ton of smaller and some larger lighting brands as well, but almost exclusively lighting and controls. And QSC is a power amp company primarily. So they also have some line array stuff and some mixing consoles and components, but they're known. I knew them. You know, I used to sell QSC power amps, I hate to admit, 40 years ago. And so when I worked for a company in Canada called Axe Music was a big QSC dealer, and we sold a lot of QSC amplifiers back then. But anyways, so on the surface, it looks weird, you know, and it was the first thought I had. This is peculiar. Why would a big conglomerate of commercial lighting brands want with a power amplifier company, primarily a power amplifier or predominantly a power amplifier company, but certainly a sound company? And so then when I started thinking a little deeper, QSC has been very popular in the installation world. They really have focused on growing that side of their business and have been very successful in that side of the business. And part of it is because of something called QSYS. And I'm not an audio engineer. I'm not a geek of any kind when it comes to audio. So I don't have a huge amount of knowledge, but from what I understand, it's a controls and systems piece of software, basically. It helps connect things to other things and to control things when it comes to sound. And so QSYS has become a very big and popular and necessary component of the QSC stratosphere. So Acuity owns something called Pathway. And Pathway, of course, is based on lighting controls and systems. And so when you look at it from that side, you know, it appears that they are just really moving into more control over the entire installation universe. So when a hotel or a hospital or an apartment or condo building is being built, they not only want lighting controls and lighting fixtures, they want sound controls, power systems, but also I'm guessing they are going to make a large speaker purchase at some point. And so what I would say is likely one of the big competitors that they're going after at this point is Harman. You know, Harman's really big in that world as well. And so so that's sort of my take on this. By the time you hear this, everybody's going to know everything about this deal, but I just thought I'd add a little color to it. The other thing that I would say is it's nice to see deals of this size getting done. So congrats to QSC. The thing that I didn't mention is this deal was at a crazy multiple. And so for those of you who have never bought or sold a company, companies are usually valued based on a multiple of your EBITDA or your earnings or your profit. And so in this particular case, usually I would say right now, companies are typically being bought and sold between a multiple of 3 to 7. 7 to 7.5 being about as high as you're seeing right now in our industry, in normal companies. When you get into the crazy tech companies and the Amazon.coms of the world, sometimes those multiples don't make any sense at all, and they're not even bought based on multiples because they're not even making profit at that point. But in our world, generally it's 3 to 7, 7.5 is the range. This one, and so what I'm talking about with this multiple, so you take your EBITDA or your earnings or your profit, which, call it $1 million, and you say, I'm buying the company for 5 times earnings. We'll offer you 5 times earnings. And then everyone just basically agrees that 1 million is real. And that's called a quality of earnings review or a quality of earnings report that you'll hire an outside accounting firm to do. And so based on that Q of E report, you are going to come up with that final number. So we're going to confirm that $1 million is $1 million, and then we're going to give you 5 times that, or $5 million for the purchase of your company. And it's a lot more detailed and complicated than that, but that's the gist of it. This deal was done at 20 times earnings, which is really, really high in our industry. So the first thing I said is, there's some strategic reason this company is buying this other company. But again, when you look at the surface, and this is how my silly brain works, I sit and think of these things. On the surface, what could possibly be strategic about a lighting conglomerate buying an audio company and then paying, 3 times what the normal valuation would be? And again, it's got to be a very strategic reason. So they're building a sort of all-encompassing, they're going deeper into the customer's pocket, getting more of that project. Similar to a lighting company that buys a video wall and a sound system, you're basically trying to become more of a one-stop shop for your customers. Cost of customer acquisition is not going down, it's getting higher. And so if you can get more out of that customer once you acquire the customer, it's good for you. It's good for your bottom line, especially when you're a big conglomerate public company like Acuity. So, again, congrats to QSC. There's some very happy people there with very deep pockets right now. So good on you. And I hope to see how this all comes together. And I bet I'm at least partially right. Speaking of deals, 4Wall, what the heck is going on with 4Wall? If anybody knows, call me and tell me, text me, email me, whatever. Let's talk, because I have had very, very good information on this company for the last year, basically, of all of their negotiations and discussions. And people love to tell me things, and I'm very good about protecting those things that are told to me. And so I thought I knew exactly what was going on here, and then all of a sudden it all blew up again on October 1st when the deal was supposed to be announced. As of the moment that I sit here right now, I am told that the deal will be done by the end of this month. And so I don't know. All I know is, again, I've talked about this before, it's good for our industry that this deal gets done and we move forward. The whole industry moves forward, because there are a lot of people out there right now who for one reason or another are not getting paid or are not making sales that they would otherwise be making. And so there's a financial impact, not just to 4Wall and its employees and its customers, but also all of its suppliers. It's that whole sort of live event stratosphere who are impacted by it. And so, I like a lot of the people at 4Wall. I love the brand. I'm good friends with Mike Cannon, who founded the company. And so I want to see them thrive again. And hopefully the brand stays. I'm hearing it might not. But if you know anything, reach out to me. What else? Moving lights are slow. So again, if anyone has any insight to this one, tell me, because I don't see tours or shows or any events using less moving lights. They're certainly using a lot more. But I've spoken to several manufacturers, and I won't mention any names, of course, but everyone has had a really weird Q3 and doesn't know what the hell's going on. Like, just very, very slow moving light sales. My own company, Gear Source, we have probably some of the best listings we've ever had for moving lights, including the hottest brands and the hottest products. And some of it just isn't moving like you would expect it to, no pun intended. Some of it's not selling. Like, you get these listings where you go, oh yeah, those will be gone by this afternoon. And then you look at it and a week later, they're still sitting there and you've only had a few inquiries. So something's up with moving lights right now, and I'm not sure what it is. And if anybody has any insight, please tell me, because I need to know. And so lastly, I will say, please remember to link, share, like, subscribe, click on whatever it is you're going to do. But I appreciate any of the love that you can give us on this podcast. Obviously, when we get engagement, when customers or listeners like it or subscribe to it, that encourages other listeners to like and subscribe and listen. And so we believe we're putting out some of the best content there is out there, especially in our industry. And we would very much appreciate it. Not just me, but Sarah, who is literally our only paid employee in Geezers of Gear. And she wants to stay paid. So it's good when we increase the size of Geezers of Gear listening. And having said that, it has been growing very quickly. So we do appreciate that a lot. And there have been 3 episodes recorded this week that I believe are all going to help that further along, because we've had some really good ones, including today's, which happens to be one of my favorite LDs, one of my favorite humans on this planet, Cosmo Wilson. And so we are very lucky to have Cosmo back on the podcast. Of course, for those of you who are either new to our industry, you're young, you don't know him, Cosmo is a concert lighting designer and director. He's been in the industry since the 80s and is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He's a legend. He's worked with over 40 acts, including AC/DC, Aerosmith, Black Sabbath, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Foreigner, INXS, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Loaf, Mötley Crüe, the Rolling Stones, Ronnie James Dio, David Lee Roth, Scorpions, and Rod Stewart. He was a touring road crew member from 1986 before becoming a director and designer. And again, if you don't know him, you need to get to know him. Cosmo is one of the kindest, nicest, most followed on social media, most active on social media. He loves taking a good selfie. And there's a reason that Cosmo has thousands of friends, because he's just a wonderful human. So welcome back, Cosmo Wilson, to Geezers of Gear. Hi, Cosmo.
Hi, Marcel.
By the way, we're recording.
Awesome.
It's all good. I can edit. We have editing capabilities.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah.
So sorry for all the stress. So just so everyone knows, the reason why both Cosmo and I are a little grumpier than normal is because I've had to reschedule Cosmo, I think, 3 times this week. And then finally we came up with a time that we could both do it, and then his computer decided to shit the bed. So my house got hit by a tornado while I was in Canada in front of that hurricane that came through Milton. And so we've been dealing with all kinds of disrepair and stuff this week, and insurance companies and adjusters and construction people, but somebody must have cut some internet wires or something, because we've had where it's normal is probably around 300 or 400 Mbps.
Yeah.
Mine has been below 1 Mbps.
Wow.
Like 0.8 Mbps. So it's not even dial up. It's slow you can't even use it. And then it goes up to over a gigabit. It's just the craziest thing. It just goes lots of internet, none. None. And so, yeah, it's been really hard. I got through 2 podcasts this week somehow, but both of them were challenging. So, yeah, I had Mark Brickman and Mark Fetto.
I saw
2 Marks.
Brickman's coming up. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool. I love Mark.
Yeah,
Fetto.
It was fun. Brickman was a lot of fun, as you might suspect. He's always colorful. And he's a very passionate guy, and he's really fun to talk to. And he's got that cool thing out right now with that I happen to like a whole lot with David Gilmour, and that paint with light thing that he does with the stylus.
I saw the video of that. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So anyways, here we are. We finally made it on, and I appreciate you being so patient with me. And I know you're on a break, so I caught you on a quiet moment.
Yeah, how you've been trying to get me back on for months.
Well, you've been busy for months.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you on the one off day in between 5 shows or whatever in wherever, Germany or something, and that hasn't worked. So we got a bunch to talk about because of all of that, because you've been, typical of you since the start of COVID. It's all or nothing all the time, right? Like your wife, poor girl, is going crazy, I'm sure, because it's like, I get all of you or none of you, nothing in between, So, yeah, I want to talk about some of that stuff. And, I was thinking this morning before we recorded this, the last time I saw you was at that Chauvet thing in January. We went to the opening.
Right, yeah. Damn, 10 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I know this is the problem as we get older, right? Like blink an eye and somebody's a year older. And
well, that's the thing. Blink an eye. That's, the time goes faster and faster.
It really does seem to, doesn't it? Like it seems like instead of all the windows are opening in front of you, it's closing very quickly. So without being a bummer. And I'll remind everyone again, if you want Cosmo's life story, go back to episode number 78 and listen to that. We're not going to go over it again because it is a lengthy life story and it's very interesting. But I didn't want to waste your time or the audience's going over that again. So first thing I wanted to talk to you about is Aerosmith. And, I know that's a bit of a gut punch to you because how long did you work for Aerosmith?
I've known the band for years. 30 years, but I've actually worked for them on more of a full-time basis for about 15, 16 or so.
Yeah.
So,
that's long enough to get it in your system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, cause I always see you share a lot of pictures with me. I don't think you share them on social so much because he doesn't want you to, but I know you're close with at least Joe Perry.
Yeah.
And you see him quite often, but so, what happened there? Was that is that anything you can talk about, or can you not even talk about it?
There's parts of it I can discuss. That's what happened is we started the tour in 2023.
Yeah.
And we did, it was 40 dates we had booked. We had 3, let me back up. We started in September. We were going to go through February, and they were discussing adding more dates possibly. They were discussing Europe, but it was like, let's see how the shows go. So it was, a lot of rehearsals, programming, and build up to the first show we did Philly, and then Pittsburgh, and then New York. And the shows, the band had sounded better than they've ever sounded.
Yeah.
And they were loving it, and they were all overjoyed at how great everything was going. And then in New York, at some point during the show, somehow Steven literally physically hit his throat. He said he was leaning over a railing and hit it on a railing.
Ouch.
Nobody, I didn't see it happen myself.
Yeah.
But he's running around like a madman, like he always does anyway.
Yeah. Which is harder to do when you're in your 70s, period,
So the next day we were told that Steven had hurt his throat. We had it was like a show. They were trying to do enough days off in between so Steven could recover, 2 to 3 days off in between.
Yeah.
Shows. Generally 2.
And in all fairness, like when you're a guitar player, okay, so your wrist or your hand or your fingers get sore, or you might get a bit of tendonitis or whatever. But when your voice is your instrument, it is a lot more challenging.
Yeah,
it is.
And even if it's
that guy sings at a very high level, high pitch.
Yep.
That's stuff that's hard to sing in your 20s, let alone in your 70s.
And he gives it his all for the entire show. It's not like he holds back. But I've never done a show where he holds back. He gives it everything.
Yeah.
So first we were going to postpone a few shows, and then the doctor said that you've really damaged. He had a fractured larynx, was the official.
Ugh, that sounds painful.
Which is generally sporting injury. And a lot of people were saying that how did he do it? Does he sing that hard? Well, he sings that hard, but from the sounds of it, he literally hit the railing, and I don't know for a fact that that's what happened, but that's what he said he did.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he was unable to sing, and the doctor's going to say it's going to be some time for this fracture to heal, if ever. So they took a year off, and he. He didn't push it, but I know he was trying and doing whatever exercises or therapy the doctors were saying for him to do.
Right.
And then we got to we started talking about, retooling it to go back out again this September. And we'd had, like a weekly Zoom call on how the things were going. And, we decided to cut some stuff and move some stuff around just to make it load ins and load outs easier. And they went into rehearsal, not the band, Steven. And from what I heard, everything was going great. He was sounding great and working his way up. And on a Tuesday, we had our weekly Zoom call, and everything was 100%. Management was on the phone or on the call, talking about everything and, building up to it. And then that Friday, I got a call from management saying, we're going to announce it publicly, but I wanted you to know before we pulled the trigger on it that the tour is going to get canceled.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah, and that was a gut punch. I mean, it was for several reasons. I mean, the press release says that basically what he took it that Aerosmith is retiring and they're not going to ever do anything, and that's not what the press release said. The press release said that they are retiring from the touring stage.
Yeah.
I think the part of it is it's hard to commit to a long tour when Steven could hurt his voice again and need more time off. And they're an uninsurable band, I'm sure, like, many bands like Ozzy. I mean, there's just, you just can't get insurance. So
yeah,
I think they thought it was best just to cancel the tour and then see what happens in the future. I'm thinking that they'll do some one-off shows in the future.
Yeah. A stadium here and there or whatever.
Well, exactly. You kind of like we did the 50th anniversary. Come out and do that show. Build up a rehearsal to it. Because then you do it. I mean, the thing is, you're only on. I don't want to say this on the hook, but you're committed to doing that one show. Whereas if you do a 20-date tour, you're committed to 20 dates.
Yeah.
Well,
you just mentioned something that's really interesting that I've never even thought about, the whole insurance thing, the uninsurable or insurance thing. So, obviously when a promoter is putting out money for 20 dates or 30 dates or whatever, and they're not completely convinced that the band can make it through those 30 dates. I mean, if you look at Michael Jackson as sort of the extreme example, that costs some people a lot of money, a lot of money, a serious amount of money when you've got, 50 shows booked at the O2 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
So I never thought of that financial aspect of it. I just thought like it's either infighting in the band or, like the drama, obviously, that you see on the internet is he fell off the wagon again. And then there's some infighting in the band and that's what blew it all up. And I'm not going to ask you to say otherwise because I know you have a lot of friends in that camp and you're a professional. But it's just sad. It's the end of an era. But, I mean, we're going to have the ends of a lot of eras right now. Because
that's the thing. There's a lot of people who are disappointed. And I'm like, well, at least he didn't die. At least somebody in the band didn't die.
Yeah.
Because, my mother always says with life, there's hope.
Yeah. And that's a good way to say it.
We'll see what happens. As I said, I that's what they love to do. And, I think Joe Perry will continue doing his, projects and Hollywood Vampires and Tom Hamilton is out doing something right now, put a little band together.
Joe Perry looks like a bit of a physical phenom. Like the guy takes care of himself, obviously. But I mean, the thing about Steven Tyler that's sad is like you see guys out there like Stephen Pearcy from Rat, or like some of these guys who shouldn't be singing anymore, David Lee Roth, who sound terrible, and yet they're still trying to do it. But then you've got a guy who's still at the top of his game. Like his voice is incredible. He looks great. He still does the moves and jumps around like Steven Tyler, looks like a rock star. And so it's a bummer to see him end in what still appears to be his prime.
Because I know how that's what they love to do.
Yeah,
that's what they do. That's it's not like their hobby or their job. It's what they do.
Yeah.
And I know it kills Steven to not be able to do this. It kills him to not be able to perform for the fans. And I got to say, for me, that this show was an incredibly. We took a lot of time. I took a lot of time, building this show, designing this show, programming the show. And it was phenomenal. It looks so good. And it breaks my heart for me, of course, because I don't get to run it, but for the fans who didn't get to see this incredible show and see this incredible. The 3 shows they did were, as I said, the best shows I've ever seen them do. And
my best friend and my son's godfather, Randy, said, "Fuck you, Cosmo." He's like the world's biggest Aerosmith fan. He's probably seen him 30 times, 40 times, something like that. And he was so excited to see him. He had his tickets and everything, like he was ready to see him on this tour. And yeah, he was the most other than you. He was probably the most frustrated person I know, because after, I think it was you who sent me the press release when it came out. I sent it to my buddy Randy, and he's like, no. So it's a drag, and I'm sure for you, for your wallet, for everything, it's a drag as well, and there's a lot of people who lost more money than you did too. So including probably, I'm guessing Gateway had some gear on it, right?
Well, actually, Four Wall ended up getting the contract.
Oh, did they?
So
Okay.
Gateway Four Wall bought a lot of gear for it.
I see.
But,
so that hurt.
Yeah.
Hurt a company that probably didn't need to be hurt right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a drag. Well, like you said, hopefully they come back and do some stadium tours. Was the show the same as the Boston one?
No, it was a completely different. I mean, the production levels were, the biggest they've ever done.
Really?
It was incredible.
But it was arenas, wasn't it?
It was just arenas, yeah.
Yeah, just arenas, because freaking everything's in stadiums now. So, which it's funny that wasn't a stadium thing. I mean, I guess the time of year for one thing, but Aerosmith certainly could sell a stadium.
Yeah, I think they could. I mean, it's but we sold out every arena.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, it's I don't know why they picked to be in stadiums. I just think they thought it was I don't want to say safe, but I think it was it's where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
I think bands prefer arenas over stadiums.
Yeah. It's more intimate, and the sound coming back at you and stuff.
Exactly.
I don't think you feel much of the sound when you're in a stadium.
Yeah. Plus, there's no weather to deal with. There's no rain.
That's true too. Yeah. And we're back, just like that. Yeah.
So
where were we? We were talking about Steven Tyler and aging musicians, aging rock stars.
We were talking about Steven Tyler. I mean, Aerosmith and Ozzy. Ozzy has health issues, physical health, and so he's unable to perform.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because everyone keeps telling me how great the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was, and I didn't get to see it, so I went on YouTube last night and watched it, and some of it was incredible. I did not. Got to admit, I didn't like the Billy Idol. I forget which song he did, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, I agree. I saw that.
Yeah, it was an Aussie song, but it wasn't great. The Jelly Roll one was interesting. It still wasn't great, because when you're so used to hearing Ozzy sing it, and I love Jelly Roll, but that wasn't great either. But Sammy Hagar doing Foreigner was actually really good. I liked it. I enjoyed the hell out of that one. So yeah, there was some good and not so good. But what were you saying? I'm sorry. Yeah, it was sad though seeing Ozzy.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's bands basically Aerosmith can still do a show. I mean, Steven's whole thing is can he keep up with the pace of a touring schedule? That's the problem with Aerosmith.
That's a whole different thing, right? He can get up and sing, but all the shit in between.
Yeah, that's the thing. The traveling and the consistency of doing show after show after show, even if you have days off in between. It's a
well, and again, not trying to dig any holes here or anything, but I'm sure when you've got addictive behaviors or addictive ways about you, a personality or whatever, that's hard too. Just being on the road and the same old things and it leads you back to temptation and bad places, and next thing you know, I don't care if you're 50, 60, 80, you still find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time and doing the wrong things.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's that as well. I mean, there's so many facets to it. But I mean, on the subject of Ozzy, when Ozzy, we were doing Judas Priest and we were opening it for Ozzy, and then Ozzy canceled the tour, and everybody was like, he can't walk, he can't do this, and they're like, oh, he should just get him a chair, he can sit on the stage. I'm like, yeah. I said, you simplify it. I said, he's not just that 2 hours or 90 minutes that he's sitting in a chair on the stage. How did he get there? And he
Yeah.
has to leave his home and go to the airport and get on an airplane and fly, and
Yeah.
then land at the airport and then get in a vehicle and go to his hotel and then go. I mean, it's a lot more to just the hour and a half to 2 hours on the stage.
Travel is hard.
Exactly.
Yeah. Touring is hard. Even if you're flying private and, staying in suites and all that stuff, it's still hard.
Yeah, it's hard, and that was the thing with, Aerosmith's tour schedule was a show 2 days off, and a show 2 days off. And actually, Stephen actually called me when before AC/DC went out. He said, what is the AC/DC tour schedule? And I said, well, it's 2 days off, sometimes 3, sometimes more. He says, well, that's what I need to do. And I agreed, because him and Brian Johnson are about the same age, within a few months.
Yeah.
And but he agreed to doing a show 2 days off, And that sounds great. Oh, 2 days off. Well, you walk off the stage at 11, 12 o'clock at night. Then what do you do the next day? You fly.
Yeah.
You travel to the next city. That's not a day off. That's a travel day. Then you have a day off. And then you're doing a show again.
Yeah.
So it's not that, I think he agreed to doing that schedule, and it was too hard on him. I mean, like I said, even AC/DC, we did 2 days off, sometimes 3 or more. And it was still hard on Brian. He's these guys get up there for AC/DC goes up there for 2 hours and 15, 20 minutes, 2 hours and 15 or 20 minutes nonstop, beginning to end. And he sings his heart out. And Angus plays the guitar. They give everything. So they the recovery time is going to be a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk to you about that one too. But so closing the door on Aerosmith here, I guess, is just that you're still hopeful, and you're probably, if you were a betting man, you'd say that they'll do some shows. I mean, it's obviously there's some level of an addiction to this too. You want to get back on stage. So yes, you want to take care of the fans. Yes, you want to feed them more content and material and whatever. But at the same time, it's what you do. As long as you can do it, you're going to keep doing it.
Exactly.
Look at Mick. I mean, Mick Jagger is the benchmark.
Yeah.
A guy at 81 years old running up and down the stage and stuff is just wild. Blows my mind. Good on him. So, speaking of AC/DC, so obviously you had a pretty successful run, and you being the social media maniac that you are, and I for one happen to love it because every day it's a new adventure with Cosmo, and both in culinary, musical, and then certainly seeing some friends in selfies and stuff.
Yep.
So I know you're doing all of that with intent. You're not doing it to be famous. You're doing it because you love the people that you're around, and you're documenting your journey basically and sharing it. And I believe that's a giving thing, not a taking thing. Like you're not being selfish in sharing it. You're being selfless.
Well, I've always said there's a fine line between sharing and bragging.
Yeah.
And I'm all about sharing, I'm a happy person, and I love bringing happiness to people. And, I love to share things that I do that are happy things. And Facebook and other social media has given me the ability to share things without bragging, and that's what I try to do.
Well, people inside the industry, I think, absolutely take it as that. People outside the industry, what do they say to you? Like, are they just like, holy shit, you have an outrageous life, Cosmo? What is this?
Yeah, well, it's funny. A lot of people are just like, how do you keep the schedule you keep? And how do you, I look at what I'm doing in the schedule, and I go, I don't know. I just do it.
Yeah.
I don't think about it.
Yeah. Well, you started the year with Judas Priest. I mean, it's so funny because all of your bands are like in their 70s now. Yeah. And if you would have asked me a couple of years ago, out of those 3 bands, who would be the worst for wear, I probably would have guessed Judas Priest. Yet, holy shit, like Rob Halford almost, it's like he has a new life. Like the guy just, I mean, he sounds and looks better than he did 10 years ago, I believe.
I agree, and they do overnighters. They do. I don't think they've done a 3 in a row, but they do a lot of 2 in a rows. And it's I thought that was going to stop after tour a couple of years ago, I thought we weren't going to do any overnighters, and we're still, I'm not with them at the moment, but they're still doing overnighter.
That's wild.
Hell, I did Hollywood Vampires last summer, and they were doing 3 in a rows.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, Alice Cooper, though, stopped all the bad shit a long time ago.
Well,
so that's helpful. That's helpful,
But
The
still,
earlier you stop, probably. What's that?
Age is age,
Age is age, yeah. Yeah, it's true. But, I mean, you see guys who are 60 who are not faring very well.
Yeah.
And then you see guys who are
that are like Jim Jagger, like you said.
Exactly. So I don't know if that's genes or some sort of, medical miracles going on behind the scenes or what, but
I think it's state of mind. I really do.
But it is interesting that you started the year with Judas Priest and you were going to end with Aerosmith. And it would have been like a trifecta, just the perfect year in a sense, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But obviously if you walk into a year like that, you're going, something's going to break. There's just no way all three of these.
When Aerosmith announced, and amongst the camp, there was a lot of doubt as if we could actually do this. Is it going to happen? Are we going to be able to maintain the pace? I mean, when I saw the schedule as a show, 2 days off, just a constant, show 2 days off, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
you need a little break. And we did have a little break in October for a little bit, and a little break for Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. But we were right. I mean, I think we were going to take Christmas off and then right back at it because they were going to do a New Year's Eve show in Boston.
Yeah.
And we needed a couple of warm-up shows before that, so that, right then and there, it's like December 26th we were leaving, but it didn't happen. But hopefully, I mean, that would be a nice thing to do is for them to do a New Year's Eve show.
Yeah.
As a one-off. So we'll see, but it would have been great. I was looking forward to, Priest straight into AC/DC, straight into Aerosmith, right.
Yeah, but on the upside, you get a break. So
well, that's the thing, I was. It's funny because when Aerosmith canceled, I was just. We were in Hanover, Germany. We were probably maybe 2-3 weeks to the end of the AC/DC run. So it was it was terribly disappointing at first, of course, and then I thought, because I'd been in Europe for 6 months with a little bit of a break between Judas Priest and AC/DC, so I was like, this will be good. Spend some time at home. So, and then I got a call about Godsmack. They needed an LD, and I contemplated it literally for a minute. I thought, nah. It was a month long, and it was just too much work, too many dates. It was just too.
Yeah. And
I thought, no, I didn't do it. So I turned that one down. And then 2 days later, I saw originally Black Crowes were supposed to open up for Aerosmith on this the run.
Yeah.
So then Aerosmith canceled. So the Crowes decided, you know what, let's just rebook some smaller venues in the same cities and do the same thing. So they did that. So, and Chris Stuba, who was a good friend of mine, unfortunately passed away.
Yeah.
And they were looking for an LD. So I got a call about, not asking me so much. They said, do you know anybody who's available? And I thought about it. I thought, do I want to do Black Crow? So I contemplated it once again for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And I talked to my wife about it. And I thought, she said, it's up to you. She doesn't dictate what I do or don't.
Which is amazing.
And my gut just said, no, take some time off. You need some time off because the pandemic, I had time off for the pandemic, but I mean, I really, even, 2021, I started working with Gateway, and I was in St. Louis a lot. And then the beginning of 22, I was off to the races. I did 6 different bands that year, starting with Slash. And I was on the road 300 days of 2022. And then, 2023 was another, banner year. I did 5 bands that year, including the stuff in Coachella with AC/DC and Judas Priest.
Yeah.
And then right into 2024, right into February, we started Judas Priest right up until basically the 1st of September.
Yeah.
So I thought it was good. And I'm glad I did. I mean, Deanna's mother has been living with us for a few years now, and it's about time for her to go to a, not a nursing home or an old folks home, but more of a assisted living.
Assisted living, yeah.
And we found a place. The first week I was home, we found a place. It was like destined to be. And
that's awesome.
And another thing, the hardest thing for me when I'm on the road, and I think you could ask this almost anybody, you living in Florida, as well, is not being here for hurricanes.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm here, not here, my wife is.
Yeah.
She's not used to hurricanes, and there's
Yeah, honey, just put up all the shutters and bring in all the furniture from outside and trim the trees
and then live for 3 weeks without power.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
I'm here, I have a generator that powers most of the house, but it has to be set up. It has to be fueled. It has
Yeah.
to. I have to rewire my box because the way I put it in the house, it's something that I have to do. She
Yeah.
can't do it.
You
I
don't
was
just have a
fortunate.
transfer switch on the outside of the house or
Well,
something?
okay. So fast forward to the promise that I've been making since Hurricane Irma in 2017 is we're going to get a whole house generator. But
Yeah.
it's the storm passes and you go, okay, things are back to normal for a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then nothing happens. We did in 2018, nothing. 19, I think we had the storm Ian was 2 years ago, 2022.
Yeah.
And she was out power without 3 weeks. Even then, I should have learned my lesson. But
Yeah.
my neighbor came over and hooked up my generator for me, so she had power for that. So that it was about a week of power. Week of no power.
Yeah.
So on this one, I got the generator set up, but now I'm putting in a whole house. I'm done.
I don't remember the name of the hurricane, but one hit Palm Beach right when I moved to Palm Beach. I moved to Palm Beach in August of 2025 or 2005, sorry. And in October of 2005, a hurricane hit and we lost power for 2.5 weeks or whatever. Yeah. And, to people listening, they're like, big deal, right? But try living in South Florida, with no electricity. And thank God it was in October because at least we had a few sort of cool days. Yeah. You could put some fans on and you'd be okay. But I mean, I had a big noisy generator outside that I think it was 10,000 watts. So it ran a lot of stuff, but I had literally extension cords running throughout my house. And so I had a fridge and some fans and stuff. But right after that, I put in a whole house generator and it cost me $30,000. And since that time, so I sold the house a couple of years ago, but never used it. It exercised. It exercised every week. Every Monday, it would start up for 5 minutes and shut back off again. And then a couple times we lost power for like a couple hours. And it had run. It had run for a bit and then shut itself off. But, it's peace of mind too, like especially when you're traveling as much as you are. And, now with some of the less expensive systems, like the one I had was an American company called Gillette out of Indiana. And it was a pretty expensive rig. But now I think you can get like Generac and stuff that's not that expensive.
That's what I'm getting. And it's, I've been talking about it for a while. So I'm from Massachusetts, that's what he does. He's coming down to
oh, that's cool.
Install it and then probably never need it, like you say, which is fine.
Yeah, you know what? It's just like insurance or anything else. It allows you to sleep well at night. So when you do need it, it's nice to sit outside with a cocktail in your driveway, with your house lit up and music playing and stuff. And all your neighbors are like, dude, you suck. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get all the hurricane parties from now on.
Okay.
So, yeah, AC/DC. So, again, all I saw was pictures and videos and stuff. Of course, the lighting rig was cool, and you can tell me a little bit about that. But, it was cool to see Brian almost able to hit all the notes and Angus still rocking and doing his schoolboy thing. And I'm sure it's harder for them, than it once was for sure. Like even Angus to headbang and do all that stuff. It's got to be a little tougher when you're in your 70s than when you're 30 or whatever. But I mean, it looked and sounded incredible. And, again, when you think, like, I remember the outdoor bonfire party I was at when Back in Black came out and, just being like, wow. And that was, God, I don't know what year that was, but it was over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It was probably
1980, 81.
Yeah.
1980s when Back in Black came out. Yeah.
So I was at a party and somebody put that on and I was like, holy shit, is that the new AC/DC? Yeah. And so tell me all about it. Like, did you use any new tech out there this year?
What do you mean new tech?
New fixtures, like I know you were looking at the big Roby outdoor thing. Did that end up on it?
Oh yeah, we used a lot of brand new tech, not technology, but fixtures. Yeah.
Yeah.
We used the Roby, the iBolt.
Yeah, that's the one that I was thinking
which is basically their version of an LED searchlight.
Yeah.
And it was, it was very impressive. It was extremely bright. It's a big, huge. It looks like a searchlight, but it's
Yeah.
LED. There's some teething problems, as
Yeah.
there were. I mean, we don't,
I don't even think it was available when you took it out, was it?
well, I mean, we were one of the first bands that took it out. I
Right.
think, and I think they were having issues because it's laser based lighting fixture.
Yeah.
And it sounds dangerous and it sounds cool, and
Yeah.
it's not like everybody acts like it's a laser pointing out of the light, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's laser phosphate. The way they do it, I don't know the whole technology about it, but it's a very, very bright light, but it's not laser. It's not like a laser beam.
It's like a laser video projector. Yeah, it's a light source. It's just a light source that happens to have a laser.
I mean, it hits you in the eyes. It's just as bright as any other kind of searchlight or any kind of other.
Yeah.
They said it would be comparable to the lights that I use on the 911 lights, which are the 7K space cannons.
Yeah.
And I think it's bright like that, but it's apples and oranges because that's actually a lamp that has a reflector.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a focused light in a different way.
Yeah.
I think I don't think it shoots as far. I don't think it has the throw of a 7K space cannon or a 7K searchlight. But it was pretty impressive. I would shine that light when I was focusing. I would hit buildings way off in the distance. And, it was
I thought you had some of those out, and I think it was predominantly a big Roby rig, wasn't it?
It was we had those. We had the GLP, the X5. Oh, why am I doing this?
Bar.
What's that?
The bars?
No. They were an X5. They were like a tarantula, but the X5. I want to say X, but that's not it. You're gonna have to edit. Well, it doesn't matter. You can edit, but
it's all good. Yeah. X5 wash lights.
Yeah, and they were incredible. I mean, they were, and that was a brand new fixture as well. And we had support from both Roby and GLP on both the fixtures, and it took a few software upgrades to get them up and running, but we managed to do it. And mostly in rehearsals, we got out of the gate, and they had to come out a couple of times, which is great because we were right there in Europe. So the GLP guys in Germany, they were there, and the Roby guys in Czech came out, and they were great. The fixtures were
those
great.
techs love going out to, especially a show like AC/DC. It's like, I got to go fix some lights. Yes, they dig it. But AC/DC, like one of the things I saw in a lot of the videos that I was watching is like all those guys smashed up against the barricade and stuff, going, you got like 14-year-olds next to 40-year-olds next to 70-year-olds. They are one of those bands that really has bridged so many generations of fans. It's awesome. Like Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd always had that too, where I remember I was telling Brickman this on the podcast the other day. I went and saw Division Bell, and I was sitting in the stands with my then wife, and I was looking around, and I was like, hey, look. And she goes, what? And I said, there's like 15-year-olds. There's two 15-year-old girls right in front of us, guessing their age, of course. And they knew every word to every song. And I was like, that blows my mind. Like, they were not even close to being born when these songs came out.
Well, I mean, I think bands like that, like AC/DC, like Floyd, they transcend age. They, especially a band like AC/DC, you hear them everywhere, especially sporting events, baseball, football, soccer. I mean, they're always playing in, the Hell's Bells. You hear the bell at least just because it's ominous, So I mean, you hear it, so they hear it, and I just think, I think when AC/DC goes out on tour, it becomes the buzz. Parents want to bring their kids, and kids want to go because for two reasons: they've heard all this music their entire life. Number one, and number two, because I think you start to know that this could be the last time.
Yeah.
This could be, and so it's that in itself is like, let's go see AC/DC because you never know when we're going to see him again.
That's something weird about every one of your shows.
Yeah.
It seems, every one of your shows, like this could be the last time.
Well, that's what I said about Aerosmith, and I had some
Yeah.
friends that come to the New York show, and I said, listen, this could be the last ever last ever Aerosmith show. And, at the moment I was right. That was the last Aerosmith
That's
show.
wild. Yeah, that is interesting. Any highlights from the AC/DC run?
Well, AC/DC, we toured in 2016, and that's when they had the whole thing with Brian's ears and Axl coming in, and so that was done. Finished that. Brian got some new technology for his ears, and they did the album, and that was during COVID, and that kind of kept them in the the vision of people that they were still doing things.
Yeah.
And then we did Coachella, and that show was like, what? Let's see what happens. Let's see how it sells. Let's see how they do. Let's see how they're received. So it was a lot riding on that show. It was I'm not gonna say stressful, but it was concerning because we were. It's funny, right before the show, because I did Judas Priest before AC/DC. Then there was the hour between, the set change. And this sense of calm came over me, and me and Pab, the sound engineer, looked at each other and said, this is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we were right, man. They came out and just knocked it out of the park. It was an incredible show. And it really gave me relief. I thought, I think we'll do something,
What,
and even
what were you thinking? What were you thinking doing both bands at Coachella? Like, that's lunacy.
Well, I was already doing Judas Priest and then AC/DC and Martin Walker, the production manager, sound engineer for Judas Priest, said, do you want to do it? And, I went to Opie in the band. I said, do you mind? They said, fine, then no problem at all. And, then I got there and I was programming it. I was in previs with AC/DC, and I realized how much work I'm going to have to put into Judas Priest. I'm like, man, I'm not going to get any sleep here.
Yeah.
But I did. And, it was kind of, I'm not going to say I worked on Judas Priest on AC/DC's time. I worked on Judas Priest on my time.
Yeah.
But I used a lot of the same tools I had available to AC/DC, so it was helpful. And it was the same lighting rig, minus a few different things here and there. We had the pitchfork for Judas Priest and we had the bell for AC/DC. So
yeah.
AC/DC we pretty much programmed from scratch. And what I did with Judas Priest is I cloned everything over, and so I already had a show in that case, and it was just a matter of focusing. And when we finished AC/DC, awesome. I would work on Judas Priest, and so it was. I was not on my mind, but it was a great feeling to accomplish that in both bands today. It was a great thing.
So coming out of there, you knew AC/DC probably was.
Yeah, we left there, and the band's attitude, you could tell they wanted to do something. Angus was. I could say he was relieved as well that it went as well as it did, and nothing was talked about. Nobody said, "Oh, great, now we're going to do a tour," but you could just tell it left the door open, and that was in October. Then a few months later, we got the call that we're going to do a tour, and it was fantastic, and and it was like, well, we're going to go to Europe and we're going to do 24 dates in about 4 months, 3 months of touring, a month of rehearsals, and once again, I think that was like, let's get out there and take it a show at a time and see how things go, see how Brian does, see how Angus does. See, we have basically 2 new band members with the drummer and the bass player.
Yeah.
With Matt and Chris. And so we get out there, we get, they go into rehearsals much earlier than we start programming. And then we get to London and then they hit the rehearsal stage, and it just was unbelievable. It's like, boy, this is going to be great, Brian's one of those singers that he when he's in front of an audience, he's 120%. And they get up on stage and they give it, but the proof was going to be in the pudding when we did the first show. And so we get to Gelsenkirchen and we rehearse there, and we do our first show, and man, it was just like, once again, another relief, and just Brian killed it. Angus killed it. The new band guys killed it. The audience loved it. There was a lot of people saying, "Oh, they should just hang it up. They should just hang it up. They're all too old." And boy, I was happy to see the naysayers shut up.
Yeah.
But the fans, and we sold out every show, and
You know, again, that's stuff that's not easy to sing when you're young, let alone when you're in your 70s. And the crazy thing is, like, their newest album, Power Age, is it called?
Power Up.
Power Up. Power Up to me sounds like every other AC/DC album, you know? And so it's not like he just came out singing like, la, la, you know, like a crooner like Frank Sinatra or something. Like, he's still doing the screaming thing. So, you know, he didn't cut himself any breaks there at all. And I mean, yeah, some of the videos that I've seen, he's like really struggling to hit some of the notes and stuff, but God bless him. And like, I couldn't do one whole night of that, let alone
that's what I mean, you know.
a tour.
I got to tell you, you know, we did three shows on the Aerosmith tour. So once we got to 3 shows on AC/DC, I was really, really happy. Then we hit 4, and I was like, great, we're past that. You know, that was
That's
my
awesome.
personal thing.
Yeah, that's
and then
awesome.
we hit double digits. We hit show number 10, and that was a relief, you know. I mean, we only did 24 shows. I mean, you know, that wasn't a lot of shows, but once again, it was like, let's see how this goes before we move to the next step. So that tour went extremely, extremely well. We didn't cancel. We didn't postpone a single show.
That's awesome.
And you know, Brian, you know, every band member, I don't care, young or old, struggles here and there.
Yeah.
You know, people get sick and stuff like that. But he was very good about, you know, taking advantage of the days off, getting rest. You know, we would see him on days off sometimes, but he made sure to take care of himself. And it showed, you know, and you know, it's like, I think you were saying before about, you know, they really come in and play hard, sing hard. Well, they push each other.
Yeah.
You know, Brian does it for Angus, and Angus does it for Brian. And you know, they go up there, and they're not competing against each other, but they're up there to do their job, to get up there and kick ass when they're you know,
I love that. I really do love that, and it's so cool. So when that tour ended and you were saying goodbye, did that feel like done, or did that feel like see you later?
Well, I felt like see you later. I mean, we went back. Myself and Pab went backstage, and you know, sat with Angus for a little bit after the show, and you know, just congratulated him on getting through it, and you know, he said, "Oh, it's great, successful," and he, you know, he says this is what I do.
Yeah,
he says this is what I love to do, and he left the feeling with me that we're going to do more. You know, we'll see. You know, it's you know. We have not done any shows in the U.S. yet. We did 24 shows in Europe, and I mean, I think we did 16 cities because we did several double dates. You know, so I mean, we could easily go back to. I mean, we didn't play anything in Scandinavia. We played one city in Spain. We played we played Paris and France. We didn't play anything in Portugal. I mean, there's a bunch of countries we didn't play at all.
Yeah,
we played London and Britain. That was it. You know,
well, you didn't do any U.S. shows, did you?
No, we've
other
not
than
done
Coachella.
any U.S. shows, and we haven't done Australia. You know, South America.
So
you know?
I mean, it's plausible to think that they could be doing some U.S. shows next year, and I mean, I'm not trying to make anything up, but that'd be fun.
Well, I mean,
cool.
As I said, I haven't officially heard anything.
Yeah.
And you know, when I never, even when I do hear things, I don't talk about it. If people ask me when is AC/DC going to tour, I'm like, you'll know when they put it on their social media pages.
Yeah,
you know,
I know. I tried to get it out of you like crazy earlier this year, and you wouldn't tell me. You know, it's funny though, because like I was thinking about this earlier when I was thinking about all of these older bands that you're with and guys in their 70s and stuff, and we're all approaching. You know what I mean? So it's not like any of us is getting any younger.
Yeah,
and I'm seeing people in our business last a lot better, you know, now that we know more about health and now that we're not all on drugs and alcohol all the time anyways. And most of us are eating a little healthier and just being a little healthier with our lifestyles and stuff. But I was thinking about athletes, and I remember when Dan Marino retired, I think he was 34 or 35, and people were like, oh, he's so old, it's time to step down. And now you got quarterbacks playing into their 50s, you know? And I mean, yes, it's a slightly different game. They're protecting quarterbacks a lot more than they used to. Pads have gotten better. Helmets have gotten better. But still, like, you know, I think we're going to see that more and more in sports. I think we're going to see it more and more in music. And God forbid our industry, you know, we're going to see it more. Like, you know, an example is Robert Roth. He's going to be 70 any minute.
Yep.
And I talked to Robert the other day. He's as sharp now as he was 15, 20 years ago, probably sharper because he hasn't been drinking in 18 months. So, you know, he's totally, I don't know if you know that, but he's clean and sober now.
Yeah, I saw him in New York. He came to the 9/11 lights and I saw him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you know, he remembers things better. He's much sharper, and he's on his game. And so, good on him. You know, who says you got to stop at 65 or whatever? Like, certainly not me.
Bingo. You know.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, what else? Gateway. So you're still with Gateway, I guess.
Yeah, I'm still with Gateway.
I just wanted to make sure before we went into it.
No, I was just up there. What day is today? Today is
Friday.
I was up there. I came home Wednesday.
Okay.
I went up. There was an event. Our one of the guys, upper management guys, a guy named Jerry Kerr. He was paralyzed in a diving accident many years ago, and he started this organization called SEGS for vets.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it for about 20, I think 19 or 20 years. And they have an annual charity event, which what they do is they have severely injured veterans that they give chairs to. These aren't just like wheelchairs. They're like Segways that are turned into wheelchairs. So they're, they can basically go anywhere. Like, you know, you can go mountain climbing in these things.
Wow.
I mean, they're very strong in track, but they give the person a lot more mobility. So every year they have this thing called the Fireside Chat, and part of it is where they give away the chairs, and also the guys that get the chairs talk about, you know, not only the new guys, but the guys that have had them for 15 years have talked about how much it changed their life and gave them back.
That's cool.
It made them independent. But they also have a thing called the Fireside Chat, and they have several generals, 2 or 3, 4 generals, you know, or admirals, or you know, just brass.
Yeah.
And they talk about their guys. You know, it's really touching. And they also talk about their view of the state of the world. You're not political, you know, just more like military, from a military standpoint.
Well, that would have been interesting this year.
It really is, and last year
sure.
as well, because it was right after the Israel attack.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear what they talk about how strong the American military is, and you know, it's interesting to hear them talk about it. But it's mainly all about the guys that get the chairs, and I've become very close friends with some of them, and so I went up and did that. And I went to the shop. We actually, back in the summer, they moved from the old warehouse to a new, much bigger warehouse. We used to have 2 warehouses that had. Did you go there?
Yeah, I went there. Yeah.
So we had the audio and rigging on one warehouse, and the video and lighting in the other warehouse. Well, now we're all under one roof, under a brand new warehouse, brand new offices.
Very close to the new.
Yeah, and it's close to the studio,
right?
and the studios are coming along. They should have been open by now, but we had some setbacks with, you know, just stuff. Besides the supply chain issues, we had some building construction issues, but they were all sorted out, and we're back on track.
Yeah,
and everybody wants a date.
Yeah,
but it's hard. You know, it's hard to give an exact date, but we're thinking. Early next year, you know. Yeah, early next year, you know, in the first couple of months,
just in time for summer touring and
you know, I've been there. The progress is incredible. I mean, they're studios. You walk into these things and you can see them coming together. And I mean, the studios are simple. You know, they're big rooms, but the offices and, you know, the dressing rooms, the kitchen and the catering and stuff like that. That's all coming together and taking form. So to see that it's heartening to see it finally.
I would guess so. Yeah, it's been a while. I went up there, I think it was maybe a little over 2 years ago, and yeah, I mean, there was dirt. That was it. Nothing had been started yet. So, are the management offices and stuff going to be in the new buildings, or are they in the building that you're in?
Well, no, eventually they'll be. Well, I mean, they're still the studios and the production services. The production services will never be in the building. That's not the intention.
Okay.
The production services, there's talk about building warehouses even closer to the studios, but it's not necessary
Yeah.
right now. I mean, we're close enough. We're
How
within
far away are you?
10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's nothing.
So I mean, we're not going to be rolling gear across the street, but that's okay. I don't think that would happen anyway.
Well, when it's too easy,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a problem anyways, because,
No,
Beyonce's in there and they're like, well, just bring 40 more lights over. Oh, but yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, once that, what, right now the production end of it is the one making money and working. We're doing
the other one's spending.
And the studios, once the studios open, it will be a different entity. But obviously the production company will be supporting the studios.
They feed each other. Yeah, they feed each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's really cool. I look forward to seeing that once it's done. I mean, one of the things when I'm talking to production managers and stuff, one of the things that constantly comes up is because of how heavily booked arenas are right now, there's nowhere to rehearse. And so everyone, I had PRG as a sponsor the other day, and they talked a lot about their Starwood, which they've just opened. And so, yeah, I mean, everyone I'm talking to is like, yep, we just opened a rehearsal space, and it's necessary. Everyone needs it.
Well, and that's the thing. And, our Studio 80, which is our biggest studio, will be the biggest studio in the U.S. when it comes to rehearsal studios. It's, it's literally the size of a football field. And even Rock Lidditz, their Studio 1 is not that large,
Yeah.
It's, you can get, I mean, theirs is arena sized.
Yeah.
And ours is football size.
So I think you can really rehearse a full stadium show in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then some.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus we have the other studios. We have two more studios that are smaller. And then there's talk about building even more in the future. That we have more land that the company has purchased to build more studios. And the really interesting part is they bought 300 acres of land across the highway from where the studio site is now, and it's like forest land on the river. And what they're turning it into, see, this is what really makes me excited about the studios, is they're turning it into a kind of a recreational area next to the studio. So, and it is so remote. It seems remote, but it's literally across the highway. But once you get there and you look around, you see these trees and the river, and there's nothing. There's no civilization. I would, as a band member or a crew guy, if we're rehearsing there for several weeks and let's run over here. They're going to build cabins. They're going to build a lodge with a restaurant. There's going to be fishing and boating, camping. And I mean, it's going to be like, let's get away from this high-tech studio and run over here and go live in the boondocks for the weekend and just.
That's really cool.
And I think it really, really has some great potential.
Well, and some bike trails and hiking trails and stuff.
Walking trails, bike trails. I mean, and it's, as I said, it's right there on the river. It's very rural. I mean, there's nothing around. So
that's fantastic. I love it. Yeah. So that's probably another year after the studio's open or something, right? Or,
I think it's more. Pretty close. The only thing that's going to take a little more time is, like Rock Lidditz has the hotel. We're planning on building a hotel, but
I was going to ask you that one next.
That's down the road. The thing is, there's enough hotels in the area. There's a lot of hotels in the area that can support, staff, bands and crew. But the hotel will eventually come. I think right now the powers that be want to get the studios up and running.
Have they booked anything yet? Like, are they that brave or they're waiting until...
No. We're not taking any bookings. I mean, if you're going to do a movie, you can take a booking and delay it. But if you're going to do a tour, you can't.
No.
We're not going to, and we don't want to, we don't want to be that, get that kind of reputation. Like, well, we were going to rehearse there, but now we have to move somewhere else because they're not going to be ready.
Yeah. Well,
we want to make sure that we're 100% ready to go.
That wouldn't make friends.
No,
that might piss some people off. So, so Gateway obviously is a great company. I mean, you started with them when 2022, I think, right?
Yeah, 2021, June of 2021. So it's been 3.5 years. And, I was in the lighting division then, and, lighting, it's all, running itself. They have all the proper people in place, and I'm on with business development. I'm not really a salesman per se, but, people call me,
Yeah.
bands call me, production managers, lighting guys, and I will happily, help them out. And, everybody that I've worked with have loved what we've done. I'm not, as I said, I'm not a salesman. I'm more of a, I speak their language. I'm an
Yeah.
LD. I'm not going to sell them a light. I'm only going to sell them on something that I've used that I think that would work with them. And I feel like I'm an ambassador for Gateway. It's a great company. It has great potential. Both the studio and the production services.
Killer people, like just really, really super.
Yeah.
I mean, at least at the top end, anyways. I
Yeah.
don't know a lot of the people who work there, but all the management guys, Haskell, and it was funny because the other day, my company operates on a platform called Roam, where it's a virtual, but you can see, like on my screen, I can see who's in their offices and stuff. Everybody's got offices. You can go knock on their door and pop into their office.
Right. Wow.
And so, like, normal Zoom calls happen in a conference room, but I can see who's in the conference room.
Right.
And so I saw a couple of our people meeting with Steve Washington, and I love that guy. So I just jumped into the conference room and I'm like, Steve, and, virtual hugs all over the place and stuff. And he was like, Marcel, if I can help any of your people through this tornado, you tell me if there's anything at all I can do. And I mean, it's just so amazing that guy just has one of the biggest hearts of anybody I think I've ever met. So he's a nice guy. I mean, just everybody, all the people there.
Yeah, we've got some really, really good people. And I'll be glad once the studios are open and we're doing that part of it. But yeah, it has huge potential.
So
I'm really excited to be there.
That's awesome. Are you literally off till next year?
Yeah, I mean,
as of right now.
I made it. Well, here's the thing. So I got home from AC/DC, and then I went up to New York to do the 9/11 lights, and that was a couple of weeks. And then I came back. I had a few things to do. I had a good the guy that was one of the Carpenters stage manager on Foreigner, Ed Fitzwater, died a few months ago, and they had a celebration of life in Dallas. So I flew out and did that.
Yeah.
I went up to St. Louis after that, just for our annual meetings. I did an honor flight back in September. An honor flight is where they take veterans of either World War II or a combination World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and they fly them up to Washington D.C. for the day and take them all around D.C. just so they can see like these memorials that are dedicated to them and the war they were in.
That's cool.
And they all start with World War II veterans, but they're all dying quickly.
So you go with them?
Yeah, so I'm what's known. Hang on. I am a. Why am I drawing a blank on this? Hang on. Let me.
All right.
I am a.
Is that a Munsters T-shirt?
Yes, it is.
That is friggin' awesome. I can see who you were hanging out with this week.
Yeah, I saw Butch this week.
Yeah.
I am a. Why am I drawing a blank on this? I am a
honorary member of the something or other.
Oh, I have to look it up now.
That's funny.
Honor flight. I am a.
Look it up, Cosmo.
I'm gonna look it up. I might as well. When you can edit this out.
I had Jake Berry on, I don't know, a few weeks
ago.
Or
I need
something.
to watch it.
It was good. It was good. He was in a decent mood. He was talking about the AC/DC story again, where he was just kind of sitting around and somebody said, "Hey, you want to come out and be the production manager for AC/DC?" And he's like, yeah, knew nothing about it, had no idea what he was doing, and seemed to work out okay.
Yeah, I saw him. He came out to see us in Hanover. I got to see him there.
Oh, did he? That's cool. I like Jake. Okay, he's getting a bad rep. He's getting a bad rep from some people lately, though. Like people are like, "Oh, Jake," because I think I don't know. Maybe he was a little hard on some people. I don't know.
Well, Jake has a reputation like that. He was hard and stuff, but it was for me. It was an honor to work with him back in.
Yeah, I like Jake.
I always like seeing him.
Yeah, he's a giant. He's a giant in the industry too. You know, he's like a. But he talked a lot about the sphere thing, which was really interesting. I didn't realize
That was.
quite how much went into that thing. You know, it was massive.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and it's funny because I went to see you too, and a friend of mine, I got tickets through. I can't remember who got me tickets, but Jake found out I went. And I didn't see him. He says, "You came and you didn't come and see me." I said, "Jake, you were working. I didn't want to bother you," but he was mad at me. But
Oh, really?
it was funny.
Yeah. No, a
Guardian.
lot went into that
Guardian.
thing. Ah, that
Okay.
had to piss you off that you forgot that.
Yeah. So anyway,
I thought it was going to be a much more complicated word, Cosmo.
I'm what's known as a guardian. I mean, here's the thing: most of the guys have like a family member or a friend that wants to accompany them, but sometimes they don't, for whatever reason. And so you volunteer, and you pay money. I mean, you pay for the trip.
Yeah.
It varies depending upon, because there's a lot of honor flight hubs, they call them, around the country, because they all
Yeah.
fly from different cities to DC. But my veteran was a Navy veteran from from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it was cool because he flew in P-3 Orions, which was a sub hunter, and I'm a big airplane fanatic, so we hit it right off. And so I got to do that, and we have a lunch meeting to meet everybody and to talk about what we're going to do, and that was one weekend. Then the next Saturday we flew to DC, and that was I literally flew Orlando, Dallas, did that. Dallas to St. Louis, did the meetings. Then I flew St. Louis back to Orlando, and the next day I did the honor flight to DC. So, boy, I was.
Is that on a military plane, or is that are you on Southwest
Well,
Airlines?
they usually do Southwest.
Yeah.
And generally it's like 20 or 30. This is the largest one that they've ever done out of Central Florida, and it was 54 of us, or 54 veterans, and 54 guardians. And so they chartered a flight, which was great. So we had our own plane there and back.
That's cool.
The weather was perfect, and it was an incredible day.
Let me ask you: is there a reason behind like your love of the military, other than the obvious? Like most of us would love and appreciate the military. Is there is it a family member? Is there something?
Well, I think I'm a patriotic American. I mean, I'm a patriot in that sense. When I was young, I wanted to be an airline pilot. Then I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And it's funny because I tell my veteran friends that when I was in high school, I was planning on going to the Air Force Academy and becoming a pilot. But then I got into music. I played in a band. I smoked pot, and obviously things went the other way. Yeah. And I was talking to a guy the other day about that. Actually, I was talking to one of the generals about that. And he says, well, I think it worked out for you.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
I said, yeah, but so and it's funny because there's a guy that I met with Honor Flight Center, Florida, and he's a guy in his 70s, and he's one of the guys that he gets people involved. And he said, Cosmo, one of the main reason I do this is because he says I tried to join the the service when I was for Vietnam. He was old enough for Vietnam. He says, but I was my health, I had medical conditions that didn't allow me to get enlisted. And he said, so I always felt bad about it. I mean, he didn't have any choice. He wasn't accepted. But I always look at it this way. I didn't join the military. I didn't fight for my country in any way. And I figured this is kind of my way of paying it back, I guess you could say, of doing my part. Yeah, that's only a small part of it. It's not. That sounds like it's for me, and it's not. It's not for me. For me, the respect and admiration I have for these guys that go into the military first of all, then go into battle, and especially these guys that I was talking about up at the SEGs for vets. I mean, these guys, they didn't just fight in a war; they were nearly killed. Most of them have lost 2 to 3 limbs, and have been severely injured, and they still live their life. And I just look at these guys and go, Jesus, what amazing people these are.
They are.
So anything I can do to help them and to show my respect and love for what they've done.
That's really cool.
So that's why
really
I
cool.
do. I just I enjoy it. It means a lot, and not just for the living guys, but for the guys that have died.
Yeah.
There's one thing, and most people don't know this. Most veterans, they don't want the glory. They don't want to know. They don't want. They do and they don't. But there's one thing they won't tell you. But this is how they feel. I never want to be forgotten for what I did. So never forget. That's why you always see that. Never forget. So that's what I want to make sure that they're never going to be forgotten.
sadly, so many people do. And, like I was watching, I hate to even admit this, but my girlfriend convinced me to watch this dating show, and I can't remember what it's called. I don't watch dating shows. I've never seen The Bachelor. I've never seen The Bachelorette. It's just not my thing. I'm not against people who do watch them, but she got me into this one, and young people, and they got to get married at the end of the show.
Right.
And so it was these two very, without being political, just young generation, the way people think now, quite woke. Yeah. And so the girl used to be in the military, and the guy ended up leaving her because he couldn't get past the fact that she would go and fight in wars, and that she was in the military, and that she was pro-violence and pro this and pro that. And,
wow.
And I mean, she was one of the softest. She was beautiful. She was just a wonderful person, even though quite woke. But the guy left her because he couldn't get over the fact that she had been in the military. And it's like, what the hell? And that he called her that type of person. And to me, it was just like the exact opposite of how young people should think. Like, you have opportunities today because these people are missing limbs, you know? And so it's wild. It's wild. It's the one thing, that I know you don't have any kids, but my son, I mean, respect the hell out of the military, respect those airplanes, respect all of it, because those people give you your opportunities to drive race cars or do whatever it is you want to do in your life. It's not about the money. It's about the freedom and the opportunity that you get because you live in a place like the United States.
And there are bad people around the world who don't like what we do. And
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So having people like that are willing to risk it all to defend our freedoms is to me, that's the ultimate respect. They deserve it. So I love that you give that to them. And, again, like, you speak with actions, not words. You go and do this thing. As busy as your life is, in between bouncing between tours and stuff, you go and do this 9/11 thing, no matter what. Like, I would think that if AC/DC had a show on that day or whatever, you'd find somebody to replace yourself because you'd go and do this thing. You're that committed to it, and that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, that definitely means so much to me to do that. So I recognize that.
Well, thank you. Seriously. I mean, as a friend and as an American, Canadian and American, a Canarican, but thank you, because seeing you out there and seeing all the pictures and all the selfies and all the stuff and the beams in the air every year and stuff, it really makes me proud just to be your buddy.
Well, I appreciate that. It means a lot. And that's what I always say. Everybody, all my friends reside in my heart when I'm there because I know they want to.
Yeah, it's cool. Are you going to LDI this year?
Yeah, I will be going to LDI.
Cool. I'm gonna text you about something else that we're doing, and that hopefully you'll get involved in. It's just a really cool thing that we're doing through Geezers of Gear, but with LDI, in partnership with LDI. It's an hour and a free lunch, so where you get to share some knowledge and So I'll text you about it later. Anything I missed, Cosmo?
Well, there's one thing that I need to talk about. You'll understand in a minute. So I've been, you and I touched on my book?
Yes.
I mean, it's been how old am I now? 63. It's been 63 years in the making, but it's been 5 years since I actually started doing something with it. And I know we've discussed it and mentioned
we have.
it, but that's another thing that I'm going to try to do in this time off is actually finish the damn thing.
Good.
And at least get the ball rolling on getting it published and getting it out there. So
yeah, it's going to be an interesting book because here's the thing. I know enough about you to know that you won't tell any stories that'll hurt anyone, period.
No, there's no reason.
But at the same time, you're going to tell some really incredible stories. So it's going to be a positive tell-all book as opposed to a dirty, nasty tell-all book where you saw so-and-so doing something to so-and-so or whatever. None of that's going to be in there, but you're going to tell some really great stories that do, name drop. And but they're all going to be positive and very good and all that kind of stuff. So I look forward to it. I mean, I'll be lined up to buy it day one. So, and we'll pimp it out for you on Geese of Gear too. So yeah, I hope you do get it done. I know you're using a partner, ghostwriter, whatever you call it.
Yeah, the
on
co-writer.
the West Coast.
And he's down. Well, he's down near you on the other side. He's over in Cape Coral.
Yeah.
So,
did he get screwed up at all in the hurricane, tornadoes, etc.?
He got Ian, which came through. Because he lives right outside of Fort Myers Beach. He got slammed. His house is fine. He lives on a canal, but he didn't get any water damage. He didn't have power for like 2 months.
Oh, Jesus.
And he's from Massachusetts, so he wasn't prepared for that. But
no,
he's since moved out of that house, bought another one, and he still lives in the
Milton hit it.
What's that?
And then Milton hit it.
Yeah, well, he was fine with Milton. Milton, but there's my other friend, a guy named Howie Hoffman, who you might know. He used to work with Genesis and stuff.
Yeah.
And Collins. He had a place on Fort Myers Beach, and it was completely devastated by Ian. Jesus. And then Helene came through and put in his new place. He put in 4 feet of water, and then Milton came in and put in 6 feet of water. So,
oh my God,
he's not having the best luck when it comes to flooding. So he hates hurricanes.
The only upside is that a lot of these people who moved here, after COVID and have driven property prices, sky high and stuff, a lot of them are going to go running back now because they're going to be like, fuck this, I'm out of here. I ain't doing this anymore. Because that happens every time there's a big storm is people, kind of move back. And I'm not saying I want to get rid of anybody, but I would like to be able to afford to buy another house someday. I get divorced, sell all my stuff, get through all this stuff. And then I go, okay, now I'm ready to find out where I want to live. And, everything's friggin' $3 million plus,
Well, yeah, I don't live on how far do you live from the water?
20 minutes.
Okay, so you're smart. You don't live on the coast. I don't live on the coast. There's a reason I don't live on the coast.
I would love to, but it's just impossible.
Here's the thing. I would like to have a second house that doesn't have anything of value in it.
Yeah.
Like a condo.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be my main home. And that's why I live in Central Florida, because I don't have a storm surge. I mean, you can protect against a lot of things, wind and you get a generator, but you can't protect against a storm surge. You can't protect against 16 feet of water.
Yeah,
I don't care. There's not enough caulk that's going to seal your house, and you're going to get flooded. Yeah. So that's why I live where I do, and I think a lot of people move in near the coast and then they get flooded out, and they go, "This is horrible." I'm like, well,
yeah.
It's like people say, "Oh, there's hurricanes. There's always hurricanes." Well, we had Hurricane Charlie in 2004, and then we had Francis and Jean.
Yeah,
but Hurricane Charlie did a lot of damage to my area, and my home was okay. We just didn't have power for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But the thing is we didn't have another storm until Irma in 2017.
Yeah.
So 13 years later, we had another major hurricane. So there was a nice gap there. So, that's the thing.
And this little house, my girlfriend's house that I live in, she's had it for 25, 30 years. There's no hurricane shutters. It's got regular shingles on the roof and stuff, because we're pretty far inland.
Yeah.
And so this Milton was going like an hour and a half, 2 hours north of us and on the other coast. We're fine, right? Like none of our neighbors put up hurricane shutters or anything. Well, then this friggin' tornado comes straight through our neighborhood, and like 3 or 4 houses away from me, nothing. For 3 houses from me to 3 houses on the other side of me, devastation. Like we didn't get it near as bad as some of our neighbors. Like right across the street from us, they lost all their windows, most of their roof. We've got holes in the roof and lost a screen patio, lost a couple windows, lost a garage door, but we're okay. So it's weird. I love Florida. It was hard coming back here from Canada on Saturday. Saturday I got back to all of this mess and devastation and stuff, and it was so beautiful up there. No trouble, I mean, it was just nice. Although there are forest fires, but yeah.
Well, there's something somewhere, everywhere,
Well, good luck with the book. Let me know when it's done. If I can help you with anything, I'm always here, and I'll message you about this LDI thing. And just keep doing what you're doing, Cosmo. You're one of the greatest humans there is.
I appreciate it. And I really enjoy being on your shows, and I look forward to seeing it at LDI anyway.
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe before then.
Maybe before that, yeah.
All right. Enjoy your time off, pal.
Thanks a lot, Marcel.
All right. See ya.